Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon on YouTube, and then I post it up to Facebook. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. If you feel you need a therapist, please go to Google, type in therapy, your city, Psychology Today will pop up. Click on that. It will have qualified therapists in your area. Also, the views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other damn therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka done. Okay, so questions. There was one over here I wanted to grab. Is the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde personality thing a thing unto itself, or does it also occur with BPD and NPD? Yes. So intermittent positive rewards is what is used to hook us. I love you, I love you, I love you, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, love, hate, love, hate, love, hate. That's the intermittent positive rewards, and that is used by both malignant borderlines and malignant narcissists. So it's a manipulation, absolutely, and it is not just a thing. Normal people don't do that. So healthy, normal people do not engage in Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, intermittent positive rewards. They're consistent. They are consistent, and there is no manipulation. So yeah, that is something that both borderlines and narcissists do, and it's usually when they reach the malignancy stage because they're enjoying controlling. Remember, it's the whole, dark triad thing. It's like narcissism, psychopath with Machiavellian, and with borderline, it's borderline with psychopath with Machiavellian. It's like they want to control. So the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing, if you recognize that in anyone's behavior, run. Do not walk to the nearest exit. So hope that answered that question. When a person states negative things they are going through, but they get verbally abusive no matter what you say, what is the reason they keep bringing up the same issues? Is it to just dump their anger on you? Yeah. So basically, this is a deal breaker. So if somebody becomes verbally abusive with you, you need to draw a line and be like, put a sock in it, motherfucker. This is not going anywhere. You don't get to abuse me. So you want to, you really want to draw a line with that. You want to be very clear. It's like, look, you've come to me multiple times with this issue. I am not going to give you the answer because I've given it to you 100,000 million times. At this point, they are now an ask-hole. So meaning, it's like an energy vampire, Colin Robinson. It's like, an energy vampire. So they're asking the same questions over and over again, and you're expending energy trying to help them, but they don't really want the help. All they want to do is whine and complain and be angry, and then if they turn it around and become angry and abusive towards you, that is a solid stop sign right there. That's like, nope, you don't get to do that. Here's my line, here's my boundary, do not fucking cross it. So that's a deal breaker. That's a deal breaker. That's a disrespect. So go back to the video I did on deal breakers because that is a disrespect. So yeah, they do just want to vent and they want to be angry and they want somebody to be angry with or at. And that's not healthy. That's not normal. Normal people, when they have a problem, they go, okay, here's my problem. What can I do? They get the advice or they get the tools and then they run out and take care of it. But somebody who is a perpetual victim does not do that. So that would be your malignant borderlines and your covert narcissists. Those are the ones that are constantly the victim. Constantly the victim. Okay, hope that answered the question. 2 months and I have not seen my ex. I saw her at a car show yesterday. She obviously watched me, kept walking by flaunting her new supply. I ignored it like I didn't see her. Good. Was that a Hoover attempt? Do you have any advice? Yes, that was a Hoover attempt. So when they do something like that, when you have gotten away from an abuser in any way, shape, or form, whether that's narcissistic or whether that's borderline, they will flaunt their new supply, either online, in person, on the phone, whatever. And the intent is to have you go, oh, well, I saw you were out with the new person and I really, miss you, or whatever it is they're looking for. Do not respond. No contact. Stay, no contact. Yes, it is a Hoover attempt. Absolutely. And it's also a way for their ego to say, see, I have somebody. You're losing out. I'm, look at me, look at me, look at me. And it's like, yeah, and point, you're going to abuse them too. Have a nice day. Bye-bye. So yeah, don't respond. Don't fall for it. Just stay no contact. Okay. Hi, Chris. I'm unable to have fun or enjoy anything that I do. I am constantly thinking about the next thing to do. Why can't I let loose and enjoy the present moment? This is common with children that were raised by narcissists and or borderlines, mostly narcissists though. So what the narcissist does is that they are never happy in the moment. They are never in the moment. Why? Because their heads are full of rattlesnakes. It's not pretty. So they are constantly living for the next big thrill. Where's the next hit of adrenaline? Where's the next hit of dopamine? Where's the next, well, what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? And it goes back to they are unable to stay silent in the moment, enjoying the present, enjoying the breeze, enjoying the silence. They can't handle that. And so for them, it's always what's next, what's next, what's next. So a flea that we pick up is what's next, what's next, what's next, what's next. So I can speak from experience on that one. When I first started dating John, he pointed that out to me. He was like, wow, it's like, we're doing something fun, but you're always kind of like, well, what's next? And I kind of went, ooh, shit, and started working on that. And it's a self-esteem issue. It is. It's like trusting yourself, liking the voice inside your head, loving yourself enough to stay in the present moment. Super important. So I would say work on self-esteem, work on the Inner Child Workbook by Catherine Taylor, Self-Esteem Workbook by Glenn Schiraldi, Inner Child Workbook by Catherine Taylor, CPTSD from Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker, and with an eye towards what mistaken messages did you get from the family of origin, remember family of origin, about not being in the present moment. And the sad thing of it is that it wasn't just my dad that does this. I saw this in some nieces and nephews as well. And so, talking to them about it and being like, no, stay in the present. Stay in the present. It's like you don't want to do what my dad did. So yeah, so it's definitely a learned behavior, and it can be unlearned. That's the beautiful thing. If we learn it, we can unlearn it, and we can replace it with healthy behavior. So I would start working on those books, maybe get with a good trauma therapist and start figuring out, where did you get that message? Who did that come from? Write them a letter about it. Dear mom, dear dad, how fucking dare you? I get to stay in the current moment. I get to enjoy myself. Fuck off. Do a letter, write and burn. Or if you want the sensation of having mailed it, mail it back to yourself. Do not send it to the abuser. Don't do that. Send it to yourself, and then when you get it back in the mail, burn it. Let it go. So yeah, this is a learned behavior. And the reason is because they've taught us to not enjoy the present moment, because the present moment with them was immensely uncomfortable. At least for me, it was like, okay, when is the other shoe going to drop? When am I going to get hit? When am I going to wake up on the other side of the room going, what? So yeah, so it's a matter of practice. So get with a good therapist, get with a good trauma therapist, start working on that. Check out the books that I recommend. Okay, is it typical for narc newlyweds to threaten their new marriage with divorce if they don't get their way? Yes. Yes. So that's a manipulation. You don't throw around the D word, divorce, unless you are serious about it. Because I'll tell you what, hopefully the partner will be like, okay, bye, but narcissists count on us being so codependent that we won't leave, that we'll be like, oh, no, don't divorce me. Let's work this out, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's a game. It's a game. Healthy, normal people do not throw around the D word unless it's serious, unless they're willing to follow through on it. So, yeah, that is a huge red flag right there. And that, it could also be a learned behavior. So I just want to point that out. If we constantly heard mom and dad, well, I'm going to divorce you, I'm going to leave you, I'm going to, we tend to fall back on those phrases when we're in the middle of a heated argument, because that's what we heard them do. So if it is a learned behavior, learn it, unlearn it really quick. Get with a good therapist, figure out the hows and the whys. And really, you never bring up divorce unless you're willing to follow through on it. So it is not to be used as a cudgel to, beat people over the head with. It's like, you know what, I'm done and I'm out of here. Bye-bye. It's not a threat, it's a do. Does that make sense? Okay, how can I have spirituality that's not dissociation? What is the difference between spiritual bypass and spirituality? I know spirituality gives you a faith that is grounding. How do you be safe? So This is a big question. So spirituality is faith-based, right? We can't really see it kind of thing. We just have to believe in it kind of thing. And then you want to make sure it doesn't cross the line into magic thinking. So the best example I can give you is the old joke that I tell every once in a while, and I'm going to tell it again. So it was raining, right? And a guy was standing in the water and it was up to his knees. And so this fireman comes by and throws him a rope and says, hey, grab the rope, I'll save you. And the guy says, no, brother, I'm waiting for Jesus to save me. And so the fireman goes, okay, I've got other people I can save, bye, leaves. And then pretty soon the water is up to his waist. And then a rowboat comes by and, hey, come on, get in the rowboat, we'll save you. No, brother, I'm waiting for Jesus to save me, right? So the rowboat goes, well, fine, we got other people to save. So they go on and they save other people. Pretty soon he's up in a tree. The water is up to his nose. A helicopter comes in, drops a rope and says, hey, grab on the rope, we'll save you. No, brother, I'm waiting for Jesus to save me. Well, the guy drowns, right? So he gets to heaven and St. Peter, St. Gabriel, whoever opens the gate, St. Peter opens the gate and he's mad, wet and mad. And I need to speak to Jesus right now. So Peter goes, okay, and takes him back, finds Jesus on the golf course, playing golf with Moses. And so then he says, Jesus, I'm so mad at you. You let me drown. And Jesus throws down his golf club and turns around and says, look, I sent you a guy with a rope, I sent you a rowboat, and I sent you a helicopter. What more do you want? So the point being is that we have miracles every day, and they're not always clouds parting, angels coming down and singing. Some of them are, but you got to be careful not to get into that magic thinking where it's like you can't do anything and it has to be because of a miraculous event. No, God helps those that help themselves, because sometimes God throws us ropes, literally, that are, everyday, normal, kind of not miraculous, just there. So when we dissociate, though, with religion is when we start doing the magic thinking kind of thing about, oh, it's going to be this magic thing. And sometimes it is, but mostly it's not. Mostly it's mundane. So I would say get with a good therapist to discuss this. It's like, do you easily fall into that kind of dissociation? Is that something that has been a problem in the past? Get with a good trauma therapist. Figure that out. Figure out how you can stay safe, how you can have your spirituality, but not veer off into magic thinking. So that would be my suggestion on that. Okay. So question, the therapist I'm with says they are a trauma therapist, but doesn't seem to understand when I get paralyzed with fear or sadness or what an emotional flashback is. They don't seem to understand the damage done by sex abuse as a child. Fire them. Seriously, if your therapist does not understand CPTSD, if they don't get PTSD, if they don't understand childhood trauma, the ACE scoring, and all of that, fire them. Fire them. Find a therapist that does. You need somebody who understands that childhood traumas affect us as adults. Study after study after study show that, and just fire them. Fire them, find a new one. Ask them really good questions. So I did a video last year before, on what questions to ask a therapist. Go watch that video. Those are the questions you need to ask. What's their modality? How many years do they have experience with this? Do they understand what PTSD is and the effects of childhood trauma on an adult? And if they can't give you good, solid answers, bye-bye, find somebody else. Yeah, absolutely. Question, I started a new job. I love it, but I feel like I'm on autopilot and I don't have the time to process my feelings about my abusive ex. We split 5 months ago. Is it normal to feel overwhelmed? Oh, yes, absolutely. So you be gentle with you. Take some time. You need to take time to heal. So again, I strongly recommend getting with a good trauma therapist, working through this. When we get onto autopilot, and we stay busy, we're not able to process. But unfortunately, all that does is shove all the processing that we need to be doing down, and then eventually stuff comes out sideways. So it's really important. Take the time for yourself. Give yourself time to grieve. Give yourself time to heal. Give yourself time to work through the self-esteem workbook and the disease to please and CPTSD from surviving to thriving. Give yourself time to do all of that. You above all others, are worthy of your own love, your own time, and your own attention. So remember that. All right. If you have a romantic relationship with somebody who you believe is your soulmate, could this be a sign of trauma bonding? It can. It can. So it depends on how that's being used. So oftentimes what I'll see kind of the new agey kind of abusers do is, oh, I'm your soulmate, I'm your twin flame, we have to be together, you know, it's preordained and blah, 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 blah. And then they start using a whole bunch of like new agey ways to abuse because they're communal narcissists. So it could be, you know, but using the term soulmate is also kind of a, wow, I really jive with that person, this feels really good. But it could also be a sign that they're love bombing you and mirroring you. So, you know, it's kind of a trust your gut kind of thing. It's like, write it out, journal it out. Does this feel right, or does this feel like love bombing? And I think that's the best way to kind of tell the difference. And consistency. So words mean nothing. Actions mean everything. So watch the actions, not the words. And be aware of what is it that attracts you to them. You know, do they remind you of family members that you had a hard time with? Do they remind you of, you know, mom, dad, grandparents, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Really work it through to make sure you're on the right path. So there's that. How do we get back to our true selves after decades of dealing with narcissists? You get with a good trauma therapist and you start working The Self-Esteem Workbook by Glenn Schiraldi, The Disease to Please by Harriet Breaker, CPTSD from Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker, Inner Child Workbook by Catherine Taylor, The Body Keeps Score by Bessel van der Kolk, Radical Forgiveness by Colin Tipping, Radical Acceptance by Tara Brock. You do your own therapy, you journal, you write, you burn, you do all of that, and you start trusting your gut. Abso-freaking-lutely. So that's how you find yourself. When we leave a narcissistic relationship or 2 or 10, we literally have lost who we are. We seriously, I've had clients sit on the couch and go, I can't even tell you what food I like now. Because this person has told me what I like for so long. So we lose ourselves completely. We do not have our sense of who we are. So that's why working on self-esteem and boundaries, so self-esteem with the Self-Esteem Workbook, boundaries with the Disease to Please, or Codependent No More, or Beyond Codependent No More, or any of the PM Melody books, yeah, that's a really important thing to do. Figure out what your deal breakers are. What are your deal breakers? What will you not put up with? And stick to it. That's going to be important. So that's how you find yourself. And you always work on mirror work, you know, reparenting yourself and giving yourself permission to be the authentic you. Give yourself permission. It's okay for you to be the authentic you. Hi, good to see you. Have a great day. I give you permission to be the authentic you. And then walk out, you know, and you keep working on that. Absolutely. Okay. Can childhood sexual abuse affect us as an adult? Even if I can't remember it, there is stuff I remember from such a young age, and I wonder how young it truly started happening. Yes, absolutely. How many children go through some form of abuse, whether it's sexual or physical or whatever, and can't remember it, but then it's affecting them later on in their lives? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So that would be get with a good trauma therapist and start working through that. You may or may not remember it, and you don't necessarily need to remember it. You just need to know, yeah, okay, something happened. Right? And you start processing that. Oftentimes the memories do start coming back when we feel safe. Number of times, I cannot even begin to count how many times people have told me, no, I can't remember, I don't want to remember, I'm terrified to remember. We start working on that, get the safety going, working on self-esteem, working on the boundaries, working on their own agency, so giving back control and power to them that they lost, and then all of a sudden, oh my God, I'm remembering, holy shit, and then being able to process it and deal with it. So it comes from feeling safe. So it is a good idea to get with a really good trauma therapist, start working it through. Do these workbooks that I talk about, and the memories will start coming. A lot of times when we have a hard time working, especially on the Inner Child Workbook, it's because we're afraid. It's because we're afraid. So don't be afraid. It's okay. You've already survived. You've already survived the worst. You have. You made it. You're an adult. So these are just memories. So really important to self-soothe, absolutely. Okay, is it common for an abuser to tell you everyone lies while admonishing you of lying when you're clearly telling the truth? This is one hell of a mindfuck on a child. You betcha. They do that all the time. Oh, everyone lies, but don't you dare lie when you're telling the truth. They don't like the truth, so they're going to tell you that your truth is a lie. That's what they do. It's backwards and upside down land for them. Absolutely. So, yeah, it is very common. They often do that and tell you that you're lying when you're telling the truth, and they don't want you to trust your gut. It really boils down to they don't want you to trust your perception. They don't want you to really understand that, yeah, your gut's right. There is a pink elephant taking a shit in the corner of the living room, and it is dysfunctional. So, yeah, that's their intention by doing that. Absolutely. So mirror work, reparenting. Hey, you know what? I am a truthful person, and it's okay for me to tell the truth. Oh, and by the way, Mom and Dad, fuck you. Do you see where I'm going with that? So, yeah, you want to work on that. Get with a good trauma therapist. Undo those messages. They were a lie. This has become the inner critic now. Thank you for your input, inner critic. Shut the fuck up. Why? Because I say so. I am truthful. I do get to tell the truth. Fuck off. Do you see where I'm going with that? So yeah, absolutely. What if we struggle to remember our childhood? It's okay. It's okay. It's common, guys. When something is too traumatic, and it's not just with kids, when something is too traumatic, our brains just literally kind of go, ha, 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 peace out, not hanging out for this, I'm not going to remember, done, boop, and we don't remember because it's not safe to remember. So you've got to get safe, and the memories may come back. They may not. It doesn't matter. Go with what your feeling is. You know, when you're working these books and you don't have clear memories, what do you feel? What do you feel? Where are you struggling in your adult life that could possibly have been rooted in your childhood? Go with your feelings. Go with your gut. Go with your perception. Trust that. So yeah, and sometimes the memories come back, sometimes they don't. But oftentimes when you feel safe enough, they will come back. Yeah, absolutely. And that's a good thing because you've already survived. Remember, they're just memories. They cannot harm you. They are just memories. Okay. I have my past written down in hundreds of journals. I know it's there, but what do I do if I'm struggling to look back? It's like I forget how to self-soothe. Self-soothing is a grand art. It really is. And it takes practice. So we don't just know how to self-soothe, especially if we had abusive parents that did not soothe us or did not teach us how to self-soothe. So you're going to start small, baby steps. Baby steps. So you're going to do mirror work. You're going to look in the mirror. You're going to say, hi, good to see you. I give you permission to have a great day. Or, hi, good to see you. Have a wonderful day. I give you permission to soothe yourself. It's okay. So you look at yourself the way that a good parent would look at their child. So when I see a baby, any baby, doesn't have to be one of mine. I didn't have kids, but like nieces, nephews, great nephews, all of that. When I see one of them, I'm always like, oh my God, it's you. How are you? Good. Have a great day. Oh my gosh. I'm thrilled to see them. Look at yourself that same way. When you look in the mirror, I want that loving, kind, unconditional, positive regard for you. It's okay to like yourself. It is. And it's okay for you to soothe. So practice self-soothing talk. So what is some self-soothing talk that we can do? I'm safe. I'm okay. Everything's fine. I love me. It's all good. Those types of things. Or what a parent would say, you're okay, sweetie. It's okay. You're all right. It's okay. Soothing. Like when a kid falls and scrapes their knee and it really hurts, you got to be like, oh, okay, it's okay. You're okay. Let's clean it out. You're good. You're all right. Everything's okay. Soothing, comforting. And a lot of us didn't have parents that knew how to do that. In fact, they would get angry at us if we needed comforting. Like somehow we were bad and wrong for having an actual emotion, and how dare we cry and how dare we look to them for comfort. So yeah, it makes perfect sense that we grow up going, I don't know how to self-soothe. So you start small, baby steps. Look in the mirror, give yourself permission to self-soothe, and then practice when you're feeling unsettled, not, really good. Hey, you're okay. Everything's fine. It's all right. It's okay. Journal. You'll be okay. Everything's all right. Self-love. It's self-love. It's self-acceptance. So start small. Start small. Get with a good therapist. Get with a good trauma therapist and start working on self-soothing techniques, self-soothing thoughts, that type of thing. You can even go online and look up, positive regard, positive affirmations, self-soothing thoughts, do that as well. And there's nothing wrong with that. All it means is that we didn't have a parental unit to teach us how. So we got to teach ourselves. So that's why I'm saying reparent yourself. So, okay. I'm overly emotional working on myself and the original wound. Is there a time frame when it gets any easier or emotions kind of calm down? No time frame. Everybody's different. Some people dive into it and they can handle it, and not be overly emotional immediately. Other people can't even get past the first paragraph of some of the books, and that's okay. That's okay. This is not a race. We are not in competition. Take your time. Take your time. It's okay. So it's going to be emotional. And when you get there, you'll know, because you'll be able to recall the events or deal with the events, and it won't have that razor sharp edge to it that it did in the beginning, and it does get better with practice. So again, take your time. Take baby steps. When it gets overwhelming or too much, walk away for a while. Go do something fun. Play a game, watch a favorite show, find something funny to watch, do self-care, soak your feet, take a bath, that kind of thing. Or do self-soothing talk. Hey, it's okay. This is overwhelming. It's all right. You're okay. Take a deep breath. You're okay. Take your time. So yeah, it does get better, but everyone's time frame is different. So you just got to keep working with it and get with a good trauma therapist to kind of help you, kind of thing, so that you have that support, so that you don't feel isolated, you don't feel alone, and you don't feel like, oh my God, this is taking forever, and I should be here. So watch out for the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Shoulda do this, could do this, shoulda, coulda, woulda. It's a mental mind fuck, and it just is a great way to make us feel like don't do it. So yeah, okay. Do narcissists give intermittent positive rewards to the flying monkeys so that they'll abuse you? Yeah, they do. They use it on everybody. Anybody that they can use it on, they use it on. You bet. How can I get over the triggering from Inner Child workbook? I could not even get further than chapter 1. Common. So again, it's the fear. What are you afraid of? What's coming up for you? What are the triggers? So is it the fear of having to remember this stuff? Is it the fear that it's going to feel in the moment and you're reliving it? Is it the fear that, I don't know. So get with a good trauma therapist. Seriously, this is where a good trauma therapist comes in handy to kind of help guide you through this stuck part where it's like, no, I don't want to remember, I don't want to feel, I don't want to. You may need to have a little chat with your inner child too. It's like, hey, little one, we're already okay. We made it. We're adults. We survived the worst. We did. This is just memories. It will not hurt you. I am right here. The adult me is right here. You're okay. Everything's fine. It's all right for us to remember. It's okay. And a lot of times, too, we get that non-permission from our abusers. Don't you dare tell. Don't you dare remember. Don't you dare, that whole thing. So giving yourself permission to remember and to journal and to, self-soothe your little inner child. However old that inner child is, and it may be hard to kind of figure out how old that child is at first, but if you're only, there at chapter 1, it's okay. It's like, okay, all my little inner children, you're okay. You're safe. It's all right. We can do this. It's all right. But do get with a good trauma therapist. It does help to have that support, and it does help to have that validation to push you forward so that it's not just, no, I'm never going to do this. I can't, I won't, don't make me. Kind of thing. It's like, sometimes working it with a therapist is very helpful. So if you find yourself stuck, get with a good trauma therapist, start working on the book together. There is nothing wrong with that. In fact, good therapists will do that. So there that is. Question. I've been divorced from the narcissist for 1 year. I woke up this morning dreaming about him. Not pleasant. Is this normal? I'm in DBT therapy right now. Yes. So think of it this way. It is just exactly like a drug dream. So when we give up a drug, an alcohol, a drug, whatever, we will have drug dreams about it. And it's just our brain trying to figure out why this thing that was so important to us is no longer there. Same thing with an abusive relationship. Why is this person who was so, in our face and right there for, so many years, months, days, whatever, why are they gone? Even though it was a bad thing. So it's a drug dream. So it's your brain trying to make sense of why this person is no longer there. So it might be a good idea to journal it out and kind of remind your brain, they did this, 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 they did this. You know what? I don't miss them. Fuck that shit. So it's normal. It is absolutely normal. It's just the way our brains function. It's trying to figure out why that thing that was so important to us is no longer there. Okay. I'm finally awake. How am I doing on time? I think I'm going to get through these next 2 questions. I'm finally awake. I can't afford therapy. I have 2 books for now. I'm really sad. Is it too late in life to have the things I would like children and a husband and education? I want those. How could I still have a husband? I can still have a husband and maybe a formal education. How do you start over so late in life? Well, you do the best you can. So, you might look into adoption, you work on yourself, and it's never too late. It's never too late. I've known people that started over in their 80s and finally found happiness. So, it's never too late, and you find a way to make it work. You find a workaround. You do. So don't limit yourself. Don't limit yourself. I hate it when people put themselves down and limit themselves and go, oh, I'm too old. It's like, no, you're not. I'm sorry. If you're still breathing and you got brain function, you're fine. Let's keep working, So I would say don't limit yourself by that. Go get your formal education. Work on your self-esteem. Work on boundaries. Work on all of that. Find a workaround. If you really want children, adopt. There's that. And if you have a partner, great. If you don't have a partner, great. Be okay with it either way. And that's the hard part, is because we get perfect pictures stuck in our heads and we go, no, it has to be this way. It has to be this way. It has to be this way. Well, it's not that way. So we got to find a workaround. So rolling with the flow, you just got to go with the flow and find a workaround, but it's never too late. It is never too late. Find a workaround. I would also say get with a good therapist. Get with a good therapist to help you blow up those mistaken thoughts and mistaken beliefs about who you are in this universe. So yeah, absolutely. Okay, the narc's current wife has left him and is asking me questions which I've been honest with her about. Is it better for my sanity to not be pulled into this again? Oh, you already know the answer to that one. Yeah, I would say, okay, you know what? I've told you everything you need to know. I'm really not interested. Good luck. God bless. Bye-bye. Stay the fuck out of it. Because otherwise what will happen is they'll get back together and now we've got a drama triangle going. He's the hero, she's the victim, you're the villain. So don't even play with that. Don't even go there. I don't want to attract narcissistic friends anymore. I give off something. I don't know what, but these people like me and befriend me, then it goes wrong. How do I fix this? You got to trust your gut. You got to trust your gut. If it quacks like a narcissistic duck and eats like a narcissistic duck and shits like a narcissistic duck, you're probably dealing with a narcissistic duck. So a lot of times the red flags are there and we ignore them. We just blatantly ignore them. So go back through all of the relationships that you've had. Figure out what red flags you ignored and why. Why did you ignore those flags? Why did you choose to go, oh, nope, I don't see that pink elephant. Nope, I'm going to pretend it's not there. And then it blows up, even though you saw the flags. So go back through, look at the red flags that you ignored, and then why. Why did you choose to ignore them? That's really a good thing to do, I think, for any relationship. Okay, I am out of time. So this week's show is going to be on sex and sexuality and how the abuser uses it against us. I'm probably going to title it Sex and Sexuality, and I'm sure YouTube is going to be like, but screw them. Anyway, so that's going to be the show this week, how they use sex and sexuality against us, or how they use it to manipulate and control or hook or hoover or whatever. So, all right, so we're going to talk about that. All right, that's going to be next week. All right, kids, have a great few days, and I will see you on Sunday, and we'll be talking about sex and sexuality. Bye.